Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kings Major West. I am Private Dancer making my inaugural Honor of Kings casting debut, but to my side, a face that most of you should recognize for his analytical awesomeness, Mr. Phil Umis.
Thank you, Private, for such an amazing introduction. And speaking of amazing introductions, we are starting day one of the Major West League today. You don't want to go ahead and drop into that A group here. So lots of teams. We just saw the team intros there. We leveled up. You know, last year we had pictures. Now we have the full cinematography out there, lighting and everything. And all the players look ready to rumble.
Yeah, it might be super early morning in North America, or it actually might be very late here in North America. But over there, it is super early morning. All those teams are bright-tailed and bushy-tailed, ready to take on all challenges in the search for one word, and that is victory.
Absolutely, and today is not only the start of the Major West League, it is also when the Mirage City skins arrive here on September 11th, and then you get a chance to get a free Fong skin too. Very exciting. Make sure to log in and claim all that stuff. And all throughout watching these games, we're going to show CD keys on screen for you guys to go ahead and...
Need to hurry up and put those keys in quickly.
Well, I think everyone gets a shot at them, so you're gonna be too quick, but just in case, you don't want to risk it. You want to make sure you go ahead and get those. So type them in as you're watching there and make sure to share them around with everyone in the chat here. But today we have 4 best of 3s coming up. Very excited. A lot of teams are going to be playing here. We got some old faces, right? But also some new ones that I'm very excited to see how they go ahead and play here on stage.
Yeah, so much going on, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, what these teams are all kind of colliding for. We can take a look here at the prize pool, $50,000 in total. First place, the champion's going to be walking away with $10,000. Second place with $8,500. Third place with $7,000, and on. Fourth place with $6,500, and finally, 5th through 7th place will be walking away with $6,000 USD.
So everyone going ahead and joining here will get a big cut of that prize here. And here's a look at the participating teams that are going to be playing for that. Just for competing here, you do get a prize, but the difference between last place and first place is $4,000 US. You want to play your heart out and go ahead and get that here. Major West League, like Boar and BTK and Level Match.
A W here as we take a look at today's matches. We're going to be starting things up with OG taking on A-Low Gaming to kick things off and set the tone. Next is going to be Twisted Minds taking on Boar. Then it's going to be LM taking on OG. And closing out the night with a bang, it's going to be BTK taking on A-Low Gaming.
Very excited for that BTK versus A-Low Gaming match here at the end of the night. Everyone's speculating, right? How are they going to do? They've been training up. We've been hearing rumors, hearing a lot of smack talk, you know. How about veterans? Both of these teams are veterans of the Major West League. I think oftentimes in the last league, OG got the best of A-Low Gaming, but are things going to change here today?
Yeah, there's a lot of history between both of these teams. I think we talked about it a little bit off air. A-Low used to have a pretty high running here when it came to a KMW, but maybe in the most recent time can come on top.
Absolutely. All these circuits are now just starting up, and this is my favorite time to go ahead and watch and analyze these games because the meta is still kind of unproven right now. Everyone is still kind of discovering what's good, what's not, what these pros go ahead and do.
Yeah, but let's go ahead and take...
You gotta fight for it. Let's go. The battle's calling. You better give it all you got. You gotta fight for it. The time is right for you to raise a bar. Yeah. You could be the greatest of them all. Yeah. Let's go. The battle's calling. You better give it all you got. You gotta fight for it.
We're going to give them one anyway here with Keke in the Clash lane. This is a team that has had amazing performances in the Kings Major West League. They were dominating the last rankings week, 2-0ing everyone, end the game super quick. Here's a look at them here trying to replicate that last tournament success.
Determination maybe came up just a little bit short, still got that invitation. Unfortunately, on the other side of that, they are opponents here looking to kind of bring up their own story as well.
Absolutely. OG here going into this game is kind of known as the favorites in this matchup, right? So they have a lot of pressure, a little bit sleepy here, but they're going to go ahead and once we get in the game, wait.
Yeah, and these guys are ready, willing, and able, but it's time to go ahead, take a look at their opponents.
So you should never give up. You gotta fight for it. Whoa, let's go. I know you want it. I see the fire in your eyes. You gotta fight for it. Oh, let's go. The battle's calling. 'Cause you could be the greatest of them all. Yeah. Whoa.
Dakza in the Clash lane. Alonso going to be bringing up the jungle. Mid lane's going to be manned by Lomax. Farm lane going to be taken up by you, and the Roam going to be taken by Roba KMW, looking to kind of reclaim that glory, get that winning strategy that put them at the top in some of the older seasons. Here, looking hungry, looking fresh.
Absolutely. Alo Gaming, definitely not strangers to Kings Major West League, but I see that they do have some new players and there were some roster changes going around. So let's see if this new roster and lineup is going to go ahead and succeed for them. And I just got to call out their title. Their title was the Crown Hunters. That is such a great title there. And you can look at it in a bunch of different ways. They could hunt the crown for themselves, or they could be the king.
Definitely the favorites, but that doesn't mean anything here when it comes to Kings Major West. A lot of opportunities for teams to come up to showcase maybe something a little different, something that they've been practicing to be able to surprise their opponents. Here we know that they have the history of that. They've been able to do it before. It's just, can they recapture that magic now?
Absolutely. It's a completely new season. And the rankings week, no one can go home, but you still do want. So teams are going to be tested. I would say they're going to test out some new stuff here, but also not do so much in a way that they cannot claim those victories.
Yeah, as we take a look here at the head-to-head, I want to say definitely leaning more towards OG here to Keke. Keke, who has just like we said, it tells a story of the domination that OG has had in these seasons. It doesn't mean that it's completely out of hand yet for Dakza.
Absolutely. Keke here coming up ahead in almost every category here. But in the game like Honor Kings, that could tell a bunch of different stories here. That could mean maybe his team plays around Clash a lot more, and then on the side of Alo, they actually leave him and focus on other lanes here. It's not really one-to-one player doing more damage, getting more gold on average. But that does show where their focus is. OG is known for having that presence in the Clash lane from Keke, being a very, very dominant force.
Yeah, and it's something that we've talked about before when it comes to like a lot of these. So while you might be able to get that micro, while you might be able to have those flashy plays on your own, it definitely comes down to the team and how you and each other can support each other.
Absolutely. And when you mention a solo game, OG Keke actually won the 1v1 tournament in KWC. So he has that going for him as well, too. It is a team game, but if you do take him on the 1v1, he has been undefeated on that. As we go ahead and get into draft here, OG is going to be in Team 1. They first banned the Mai here. Pretty standard stuff coming out so far.
Yeah, I think this is something that we had talked about offline a little bit, about some of the priority bans that are going to be out there, things that we might not be seeing in best of threes. Some of the names that came out were Mai Shiranu, the Arlie pickup are going to be taken off the board. Some of those really high value picks, high power that kind of leads you into the late game here, they're going to make sure that those are off the board. So we're going to have to stretch a bit for when we're coming up with our compositions.
Absolutely. Dolia is going to be the second ban for the side of OG. And when we're talking about bans here and just drafts in general, in a best of 3 format, you're going to often see a lot more high power drafts because you only need to win 2 games to go ahead and take the series. So teams are not really going to be pulling that many punches. They're not going to be bringing out as many spice picks here because you're going to see more and more deep hero pools come out.
That kind of explains some of the ban outs there. A lot of mobility on that, a lot of damage depending on how fast we can kind of get those clears throughout the jungle. It's going to be answered by the Lung pickup on Alo Gaming, followed by the Didia.
So this is a little bit of what we're talking about here. Super high power drafts, Dao on the Luna here, and then we see Long and Didia being picked up. I'm surprised the Liang did not get picked up on the side of Alo Gaming. That's definitely a great choice on the roam position to go ahead and lock down the Luna. And then OG is immediately going to capitalize on that, picking up the Liang and potentially Princess Frost here for Wen and getting that combo locked in.
Yeah, Lung has been one of those picks that just so much CC and so easy to play. We talked about it before too, is like, especially when you're able to lock somebody down, it's pretty hard for your team to ignore. Once that person is locked down, it's like, all right, we know what to do. We burst him down, and it's just one of those heroes that are so easy to use. And we're already looking at a pretty big amount of CC here coming out from OG.
Absolutely. Alo rounds out their first and remove that before OG gets a chance to pick it up, and they won't want to use a ban on it. And we see Ogren and Charlotte being banned out here in some of the remaining bans. But I do want to call out OG's draft is very OG style, right? They like picking these synergies together. They pick out the Liang. They notice the Liang and Princess Frost are up. We're going to go ahead and lock that in. And that's a great 3 hero core for the side of OG. They're able to have that lockdown.
Yeah, and right now they're going to go ahead. They do take Ogren off the board, so that I want to say they're trying to get a little bit more of those squishier compositions out from Alo Gaming.
Yeah, OG having the Luna, they definitely don't want to go against someone that is too bulky. Their Clash laner is removing some options away from Keke here with the Mayin ban, Dharma ban, and the Charlotte ban. A lot of focus being put on the Keke here. Not many options are left for him, but I do notice Byron is still up, and that is a OG favorite here.
Oh yeah, and with that, we're gonna go ahead. Fong and Mulan picked up for the side of OG. They're gonna round out the composition. They're still waiting on that last pick on and Mo. Such a menace in that mid lane, especially with how quickly he can scale the damage out lane, especially with how quickly he can scale the damage output he can do. But I do want to say, like, usually you like damage coming out from him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Usually Ganamo compositions have stuff like the Liang there to go ahead and lock down targets for him here. This Ganamo pickup is strong on the side of Alo Gaming, but it does not have that much setup. So it's going to be a lot to hold down. And then they round out their composition with the pay as well too. Another interesting note, we mentioned there's not going to be that many spicy picks here, but the Fong getting locked in here in game 1 for the side of OG, definitely something a little bit unlocked in here in game 1 for the side of OG, definitely something a little bit unconventional. Maybe they're trying to get that skin that we were talking about earlier. Signature picks. It is not the strongest in the meta, but it's kind of like,
yeah, and it's going to be very interesting to see how these compositions kind of roll into each other. Pay is something that we've covered before. The early game that he can bring out is just incredible. He's almost unmatched when it comes through his outs. Is just incredible. He's almost unmatched when it comes through his jungle or his power spike. It's just, I wonder about the road leading it there, how their side for winning fights.
absolutely. Alo Game is trying to
for winning fights.
Absolutely. Alo Game is trying to fight fire with fire right now with that pay. OG known for being one of the most devastating early game tempo style teams. So they're going to pick up that pay to try and match their pace here. And this is very interesting. Alo Gaming historically, you know, they like dragging games out. They like dragging games to Tempest here now. But now with some of these new players and a bit of a roster switch up, we see their theme kind of...
It comes into play too, especially when it comes to a task. The problem comes though, are you laying a path for that late game? Because there's only so much of an advantage you can give an early successful team like OG before that snowball becomes too big to handle.
Absolutely. Here's a look at the lineups once again here. Nothing too out of the ordinary when it comes to skills here. We did mention there were some new skills being added to the game here in that teleport and the prison sprite, but not coming out this game. But I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes out on the skills throughout this circuit here. We see the Guan Yu with the sprint as well. Speaking of sprint, let me sprint into the phones that they're using here. The Realme 15 Pro gaming phone is the official phone for Kings Major West League. It is built for performance, made for gaming, smooth, cool, reliable, and fast, just like Guan just the way esports demands it.
And when you are fighting and playing at this level, you're going to want the best, and that is what you get with a Realme side of Halo, trying to go ahead push themselves into the jungle, even though it's not for like they're not already at the buffs. They're just trying to let them know they are there.
They do end up taking that lizard there, from my understanding. So already, not just in draft, even in game, they're putting a lot of pressure on Keke here. They banned out a lot of his picks, and then they're sending 3 people up to his lane, ensuring that he cannot really get ahead, because they know Keke is going to be one of those star players on the side of OG, and they cannot allow that to happen. And hopefully you guys didn't miss it. There was another CD key there for you guys to redeem and get yourself some dragon crystals.
Yeah, a lot with the farm, trying to keep that pressure up. You can see teleport to the bottom, looking for something. Actually did catch a kill, and that is going to be one very early for the side of OG. And just on the backside, when running for the hills, auto attack be danged, able to find and escape.
The Ganimo just barely missing the blades. They're using the flash to try and connect it, and it barely missed. Wen gets away with just a sliver there. It did not happen on camera, but Keke actually found a solo kill onto Guan Yu as well too, which is extremely impressive. And he found another one onto Ganimo. Keke is being real sneaky right now, getting all these kills off of camera here.
Yeah, if we go ahead and take a replay to see what we missed there, just a 1v1 there that was able to go ahead, find the mark and put on the button there. And that's going to speak pretty well for OG here, because it wasn't even kind of the team fights where they were focused. We're talking just about the solo lanes and the amount of pressure that they're able to put on just...
And especially in the hands of someone like Keke. Guan Yu once again, this time not respecting the Liang as he gets grabbed up under tower with that Princess Frost ultimate on top of there too. And there's not much you can do. This is not looking good for Doxa here. He came in the lane, got solo killed, now came back, gets 3-manned. They are really behind.
Yeah, and Doxa, especially when it comes to something like a Guan Yu, the amount of CC, and as we take a look at this replay here, that auto attack coming out from Keke, they're doing such a good job of finding some of these, I want to say, lackadaisical types of rotations coming from the, actually brought a very deep onto enemy territory. He's going to have to find himself and escape. There is a Roba.
OG 3 minutes into the game, almost 4 minutes here, already 3-0, up about 1,000 gold there. And I gotta say, we mentioned earlier the Mulan pick, right? It's not a very conventional pick, but there's benefits to that. The Ganimo does not really understand the damage output and the kill range of the Mulan there, as they would catch him out 1v1. Same with the Guan Yu as well.
Oh, they are able to catch one. If that is enough, gonna have to look at that again. It looks like, Fang is gonna be able to catch Pei, and also another kill going out for Lomax, able to catch one, putting Alo on the board. A little bit of a lax rotation here coming down to the Tyrant, and I want to say 4 members of Alo.
And taking him out on the upswing there. So it was a 1-for-1, but trading roam for a jungle is always worth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And right now, I want to say you can see here trying to take that momentum. That's the difference between certain kills. Now, as we go in here, another big frozen onto Pei catches him. Mulan Keke going to go ahead and get himself up another kill alongside Doxa, able to answer back. But the difference is, I was going to say that OG, when they get those kills, you see them immediately going into enemy territory. Oh, a little bit of trouble here. Tries to go and get that last hit off, but does not.
Keke was definitely feeling himself in that situation there as he attempts a 1v2 on Ganimo. A bit of a revenge as he gets that shutdown there onto Keke.
It's because of the Pei. It's because of the way this composition is. They can't let up. The moment that they start letting things up, the moment they start slipping behind, and then that snowball effect is going to come in. Speaking of which, we do have stood there between 4 members. A very brave, but maybe not recommended for Keke.
That was an insane 4-man heavy blade there, but Keke was the only one there. There's no follow-up. Everyone on his team was actually getting the high ground in the Clash lane, and that has to be some sort of right. That's definitely a record since this is game 1 of the Kings Major West League, but a 6-minute high ground being taken by the side of OG.
Yeah, and when it comes into the right now, where I feel like we're both standing in the middle of the ring, we're trying to throw haymakers at each other, but OG is just coming out of these fights a lot better. Another power word there to go ahead, lock down Lung, and take him down.
There's the Liang here. All throughout the game, all these plays, most of the kills OG got is just off of Liang's ultimate. He's able to flash in or just walk up to someone from a bush there, get the grab on them, and then Princess Frost Wen just follows up with that ultimate there, and that combo is really, really hard to play against.
Yeah, and this is kind of one of the questions I had is when you let something like that through. We've talked about it before, just how easy Liang is to play, to be able to kind of get those lockdowns. When you've locked down an enemy player for that long, everybody knows, attack, take him down, and you can see the points start to add up.
Absolutely. OG starting to run away from the game with the game here now as they're up 4,000 gold and taking more and more towers. We haven't seen much of On, but he's just been farming up on the Fong, and Fong is one of those marksman picks that's relatively durable as well. It's able to side lane alone. It is not, you know, when Pei jumps on Fong, there is outplay potential. It's not like other marksmen that just gets deleted here. So being able to get farmed up here with that Fong pick, not using a pivotal pick as well too, as we see Luna in a 1v3 in the jungle of Alo Gaming.
Not just a 1v3, but still able to take it onto the teams. I was actually getting a little worried there for the side of Alo Gaming, as you can see that Dido was actually taking it to them, took 2 of them down to about 10% health, but the cavalry came in. Alo Gaming was able to go ahead and get the kill on there. The problem here is, with each of these kills, they're not able to make any movement on the board. They're not able to push, they're not able to get towers, and that is exactly where OG is starting to shine.
Absolutely. Alo Gaming to get a kill, they need to throw. Kills are all going down in the jungle of Alo Gaming. As you mentioned, they're not able to break out and get any other resources, where OG, sure, they may have lose the kill 1-for-1 here, but they're getting all the jungle on the side of Alo Gaming.
Yeah, and I feel like they've kind of been shorted out from where a lot of their picks shine. The Ganon Mo really hasn't gotten the item spikes where he's going to be that dangerous with a lot of those coupled blades. The damage that you want and the positioning from Doxa on the on the Guan Yu, it just isn't there. He's not even in tower, got CC'd down and taken down by the side of OG.
Muchin doing his job there, trading his life away for, you know, relatively higher value targets here. First it was Pei, and now it is the Guan Yu. But the thing is, Guan Yu's blades, and that's exactly what we just saw there.
A little bit, Roba actually going in, and on the backside, coming in with that Mulan, finds a kill along with Fong. They pick up 2 on Alo Gaming.
OG is playing so confident right now. Almost all of their members we've seen constantly take these disadvantaged fights. Keke jumping in 1v4. Dao, that's the second time doing a 1v4 or 1v5 play there in the enemy jungle. But they're just so ahead, they're so confident in their plays that even though they do lose Dao, they're able to force.
As soon as you take him down, you turn around, you realize that your back line is getting cinched up by Keke. So, I mean, a great plan coming from OG, where they're not just pushing from the front, they're not just trying to overwhelm, they're taking these smart little strategic plays, taking these strategic deaths in order to get into the back line and give them even more of an advantage.
Potentially the final fight coming out here, as we see Wen getting engaged on here. Muchen actually, as he gets taken out. This is a numbers advantage for the side of Alo Gaming, but Keke jumps into the fight 1v4, drops everyone super low.
Yeah, and right now they are trying to answer back. Ooh, look at the damage there. Fong is able to find a kill onto Lomax, but answering back right away when able to.
While everyone like Dao, Keke's jumping in, having fun, On is kind of like holding down the house. You know, he's farming up, getting really fed, and now we see him actually go ahead and deliver the goods as they're going into the enemy base right now. Guan Yu and Pei are the only ones left to defend, and it looks like they're not able to defend as Dao just rinses through them here.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be it, setting a standard here in Game 1 in the first series of the day. OG Gaming, come ahead.
That was definitely a very OG game. They play they dive in 1v4, 1v3. These like plays that, while some would say a little bit less disciplined, I would say are very passionate plays, right? Because when those plays happen and pop off, you know, they're amazing. And that's what we saw there in that game. Some of them didn't work out well, but the ones that did were awesome.
So I do like the overall strategy coming from the side of Alo Gaming. They kept the pressure on right from the beginning, tried to invade, tried to make sure that they were still all up in the face, always coming back, always standing man to man. The problem is when it came to the compositions, the actual amount of CC that was on the side of OG Gaming just really favored them, especially in that early game, to catch them even in the way from what they thought was the safety of their tower. A lot of very early kills there under their tower because of the amount of CC that they had.
Absolutely. I think the execution on the side of Alo there was a little bit lacking, as you saw some solo kills come out on the side of Alo there, and leaking a few kills to Keke is really bad, because they invested a lot of resources in getting Keke behind. They banned a lot of his heroes, and they gone ahead and sent the 3-man top. But when you invest all those resources to get someone behind and then give it right back with a solo kill here, a solo kill there, that is really disastrous, because the whole there. So I would like to see the, you know, going into game 2, maybe pick a little bit of an easier to execute composition as well too, because that composition is really hard to execute. Gan and Mo with no crowd control is not easy to hit blades with.
Well, and then I kind of wonder, because when you have a composition on your side, this is a global ban. So maybe what we did is we kind of put those out early, let them put out that best amount of CC early. So now we no longer have the Liang that we have to worry about. We no longer have the Princess Frost that we have to worry about. But on the other side too, there were some big, strong picks on the side of Alo Gaming that were taken off the board there as well.
Absolutely. I think Liang is the most pivotal pick here in this game 1. I would say Alo Gaming's draft, either, you know, they kind of needed the Liang. If they knew that they were going to go ahead and pick the Gan and Mo and the Pei, I would much prefer the Liang over something like the Diadea. Number one, the Liang goes ahead and sets up the Gan and Mo, and then also you don't have to worry about playing against the Liang as Pei, which is someone that he, you know, historically hates playing against.
Oh yeah, and the ability to lock him down, and then almost I don't even know if Guan Yu kind of almost works against Ganon Mo, just because his entire kit is set on trying to re-push enemies or reposition them on the board. And when you're Ganon Mo, you like your opponents in a predictable place so that you can get all of that damage. And unfortunately, it just felt like he was never able to take off.
Absolutely, that's a great point. I think OG's team was easier to execute, right? And because they were able to play it really, it's a feeling himself pick. He starts the game, he gets ganked by 3 people, and then he ends up with a solo kill on mid and clash. So classic Keke things right there happening as he goes in and gets the MVP. But going back to my prior point, yeah, their composition is really hard to execute on. We have for him to go ahead and land those blades.
Yeah, I'm gonna say here on pick, but meanwhile they were pushing up at top. It just seemed like they were Yang pick, able to go in, get the lockdown. Here's another backdoor that we were talking about, able to light them up and really punish the backline of.
Someone's diving here, someone's diving there, someone's taking a tower there, and it's easy to read Keke in a 3v1 or a 4v1. But then they invested too many resources. Like, it's 1 kill versus 1 kill. They lose a lot of extras along the way as well.
Early game kills, catching some of the bad rotations, even able to get them under tower. But not just that, but just their ability to keep the pressure on as well.
Absolutely. Very excited to see how these teams go ahead and adapt here for game 2.
Yeah, be amazing. So one thing then too, where do we see some changes coming on the side of Alo? One thing that you brought up already is how they managed some of that early game, some of the mistakes they made that actually got them some solo kills under their towers or in their lanes.
I would say their composition was not very synergistic, right? You were mentioning the Guan Yu and the Ganemo. They don't really synergize with each other too as the composition.
feed the flame. You know I feel the darkness and the pain. All of the ways we tried to break free from the night. You know we made it out, we found the light. I fly so high, like it's a whole new vibrant world. Like we're the only ones in this world. Like we're the only ones in this world. Now I see that I'm on fire. I'm alive 'cause now so high, light up the skyline. Let's do it this time, like it's a whole new colorful world. Like we're the only ones in this world. Like we're the only ones in this world. How we get this far. Like we're the
We are going to be stepping into game 2 of our first season of day 1 of the Kings Major West. Private Dancer here and joined by Phil Umis.
Yep, we just saw game 1. Pretty quick game there from OG and Agistic here, but this is global pick ban, so all those heroes that OG used to claim victory in game 1 are no longer available to them, as we're gonna be able to get into draft here soon. Here's a look at OG there. They're up 1 game. It is match point for their end, and then Alo Gaming and their coach here are coming up with some strategies to see how they can go ahead and tie that up to a 1-1.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that there's a few during the laning phase of it, and right series. We talked a little bit before. Nobody's being kicked out. Nobody's going home today, but you do kind of want the relaxation of that good positioning from a few wins here. Not just that, but it kind of sets the tone. OG, we knew that they were going to come in here. They were going to come in big. They were going to come in hard. They were going to come in powerful with some of their picks and with their play style. And I want to say they have not disappointed.
Absolutely, game 1 was not disappointing at all there. And as you were mentioning there, they want to go ahead and get that Group S, right? The top 3 teams advanced in the Group S, and they have a much easier time in the survival week. No one is going home this week, but that does not mean you want to go ahead and go into Group A, because then your seeding is not going to be as favorable. You're going to be playing against the strongest teams and risk getting knocked. Arlie and Luna being removed here.
As I say that, that means Mai is open. Dharma, they're going to go ahead and pick that up. That leaves open the Mai and possibly Uan pickup, but they go ahead, pick the comfort of the Lung.
Pretty standard draft here. Mai actually being kind of ignored here, right? The Long and Augreen getting picked up here. They know that Alo Gaming cannot play the Long again, but they opt to go ahead and pick it a little bit earlier so that maybe they can hide some of their prior picks. Maybe the Mai is a trap. I always say Mai is on fraud watch, but we see Mai getting picked up here for Alo Gaming. Super well-rounded team there with the Mai, Agudo, and Dharma.
Yeah, that's going to give them a lot of mobility. The Dharma, I like, has been a very strong pick. Maybe not strong enough to get a lot of those bans just yet. But also, I'm wondering if we take the U. Well, I mean, we don't really need to take the Uan off the board just because of our picks that we already have on the side of OG. That really wouldn't. Oh, yep, never mind. There it is to go ahead, because that's one of the bigger counters that really shuts down. As great as a My Share No pickup can.
Wants to go ahead and assassinate their targets, taking them out and burst them out really quickly. And Yuan just puts a complete stop to that with that ultimate. So they don't want to deal with that. They go ahead and ban it out. As you see the Liang getting banned out by OG. They just used it. They know how deadly it is, and they do not want to deal with it. And then Charlotte is being hovered here for Keke. They're kind of making some decisions here. 5 seconds left. Let's see what they go ahead and round it out with. It is the Charlotte here for Keke. Their team is pretty built here now, with the core being able to ride each other's skill ones.
So here's the interesting thing too. When you have that my pickup, you have a potential mid laner that doesn't synergize well with anti-heal, and that's something that you really want to have as a focal point when you're facing something like an Ogren. And I'm wondering how well that's going to come into play. Where the anti-heal is going to come from the side of Alo Gaming.
It is likely to be coming from a Gudo maybe, or perhaps Ming. Yeah, not too many good anti-heal builders on the side of Alo Gaming, but they're definitely going to need it against Diadea and Ogren, and even the Hane picks, and then they throw a little bit of spice in there, and in this game it is Wen with the Hano mid.
Yeah, so while we have all the picks up on the board, it's going to be very interesting to see how we manage them. Mai has become a quick favorite of mine when it comes to the mid lane. It's like poetry watching the abilities go off, get that dash off, make sure that you can get to the side lanes very quickly. There's just a lot that you can do to be helpful for your team. On the side of Alo, on the side of Alo Gaming, that's something that they're going picked off in the early game. Having the Maestro now might be...
It's no secret that Mai is one of the strongest picks in the game, but picked up usually the opponent's team has a strategy in place.
Yeah, she's one of those that you really do have to its positions. Alo Gaming at 0 points, OG Gaming at 1. It is game point for OG.
And the point we didn't get time to glance over here is the Chano and Ming to go ahead and pocket him throughout the game. So let's see how.
Already taking a little poke at the enemy jungle there. Yeah, you can see Daudo doing a good job. I want to say it's those little things. Take away the jungle that's a little bit in your pocket, it's a little bit out of their pocket. You continue this on in the early game, and look at already on enemy territory, trying to put some pressure onto them at that Clash lane.
Yeah, some interesting stuff happens here. So great adaptation by Alo Gaming here. Now OG is forced to play a little bit reactively and send the Diadea back up to try and equalize that lane here. And Alo Gaming does end up taking the teleport sprite here and opening that up. And from here, they're once again focusing down kicking. Look at this 4v1 there. This time they actually get their mark here and get the kill.
Yeah, not just that, but I like the organization coming to have 4 members there, immediately know what they need to do, get the kill, immediately walk away, and we're going to see if they can keep this up. Still no kills. They tightened up their laning process, so they're not handing those kills over to OG, so a much better start for Alo Gaming than the first series.
Absolutely. I will have to mention though, Dao has kind of been in the background farming up. He's stole a little bit of a Gudo jungle here. And speaking of steal, we see a big fight coming out here from some steals here. A lot of combos going out. Diadea goes down and Dao goes down here. Alo Gaming really have the momentum in this game too.
Oh, Doxa doing a great job splitting up the priority. You had a big group of them at the mid, but Doxa came into the back line, got that truth mantra locked down. I want to say 2 or 3 members of OG, and they were able to find 2 kills there again.
Absolutely. Dharma, the miracle maker. Does not matter how behind. That is going to end that fight really quickly there.
Oh, we do see. We don't know if Keke even realizes how close he might be. We do have a nice little truth mantra coming in there. In comes a Lomax, but just, I want to say, must have smelled him. Keke realized right away, got to the safety of the tower, and said, no kill for you today.
We're seeing a little bit of a pattern here in Alo Gaming strategy here. They are keeping up the momentum as they go ahead and...
Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to continually get those type of resources all over the map. But, I mean, still doing a good job. 3-0 right now. A little bit of a 1K gold lead here. But it all starts to come down and might fall apart once we get to some of these objectives. Once the Tyrant's out there, once the Overlord's out there, are we going to be in a position for some of these good team fights?
Absolutely. Here we have Tyrant coming up here in 15 seconds. This is usually another pivotal point here, and we see Muchin getting caught out a good amount, almost going down there. Alo Gaming, they seem to be a completely different beast this game. They're playing together as a unit, and they are finding these catches and finding this pressure here in the early game.
Yeah, and they might not have gotten the kill, but they were able to push Muchin away. But even with that, you can see OG enforcing their will here, pushing into the Tyrant, looking for a fight with ALO Gaming, and they don't seem to want it just yet. Both teams kind of jockeying.
Yeah, both teams don't seem like they want to pull the trigger here, dancing around the Tyrant. Neither side wanting to start it and having that disadvantage of the Tyrant hitting you while the opposing team is around. And it looks like the opt to handshake and everyone backs away. Okay, no tire for either of us, guys.
But Tyrant there shrugging his shoulders like, what's going on, guys? I thought there was supposed to be a fight here. But I want to say now, going ahead and very quickly, OG trying to return to looking to dive underneath the tower, and just it comes up with that kill. Big pickup there for you and ALO Gaming. Now 4 unanswered kills on the board.
When getting a little bit of that Keke treatment there, as they send 3 to take him out under tower. ALO Gaming are just able to, you know, group up and deathball OG. And unlike last game where when they lose a player here, they get something somewhere else, it seems like OG's not able to, you know, get off the ground here, it feels like.
And this might have been what we were talking about earlier, is maybe they just kind of wanted to get those picks out of the way in the first game. This is a much different story than that first game. Ooh, looking for a little bit, lying in wait there under the bush, and going to try to pick up this kill here, looking for an opening and not able to capture onto Dowda, who's able to turn it around, finds the kill on the Doxa, and retreating back into the wind.
OG there catching, deathballing, having these unfair fights. That time, Doxa found himself a little bit caught out alone there without any backup.
Yeah, and I want to say some great positioning by the side of OG to kind of catch him in that rotation. They do good. I want to say ALO Gaming, they're doing great when they have that team of deathball, like you're saying. It's just these one-offs where they start to kind of flounder. If they can keep this tight, and that's the problem with a lot of teams, is like, yeah, it's tight in this early 6-7 minutes, but as we progress, are we going to keep it tight? Oh, as we say that, Truth Mantra comes out and almost finds himself a kill. Luckily for On, able to go ahead and expend that ultimate to get himself to safety.
And that's why Long is such a reliable marksman. You put all this investment into your marksman, and then a lot of them, they could just get one shot in a fight. Not Long, though. Able to use that ultimate, that infinite fastness to get away into safety there. Always going to be frustrating.
Oh, no, in trouble here. Taking a heap of damage, but that is an Ogren, baby. And he has the tankiness to go to boot here. Able to find himself an escape. A lot of abilities actually wasted to try to bring him down.
Absolutely. He has the Eye of the Phoenix on him as well, too, so his healing is even more amplified as normal. And we were mentioning a little bit in the draft, there's not many anti-heal users on the side of ALO Gaming. They're going to have to kind of shoehorn it into their build here. And look at Ogren running around without any anti-heal on him. He's just able to heal back to full.
Yeah, and that's, I want to say, and that's what I was gonna, once he starts getting those items and he's able to kind of sustain himself through who has the advantage in a lot of these fights.
Absolutely. It looks like ALO's going a little bit more of a hybrid build on the Guido to try and make up for the lack of damage here. As we see Keke in a 2v2 here, Muchin comes out. Channel's getting a bit caught. Uh-oh, tries to turn it on Keke, but actually gets it turned on him.
Yeah, you were the first one to go down, and just like that, you can see Dow finds himself another kill. Continuing on, Flow Gaming, only one down for OG. It might not be pretty, but they have managed to kind of turn this in their favor.
Absolutely. It's 5 kills to 4 here, but if you look at the gold, it tells a little bit of a different story. OG's actually up almost 3.
Take the entire team to give his team the opportunity they need to be able to push on that tower. And that's the value you get from an Ogren, from all of that tankiness, from all of the regen he has, and where you're going to start seeing the faltering far as like answers go for Ogren.
Yeah, you can definitely reduce his healing a bit, but that's still a late game Ogren here. The scaling on the side of OG, I would say, is superior. As we have the Blood Rage come up for Ogren now, it's going to be really, really difficult to take him down from the side of ALO Gaming. There's not really that really reliable, consistent lockdown on him. We do have the Truth Mantra, but that is, you know, hit or miss sometimes in a team fight.
Yeah, and right now you can see the difference is what we were talking about. A lot of Alo Gaming split up on the map. You, from what they were before, a nice big ball where you can have Lomax maybe trying to go in there, getting some damage out there, poking them out a bit, and this is going to be another Tyrant that's going to be going over to OG Gaming. Now kind of continuing on with this snowball that they're feeling here in the late game.
Absolutely. I say this in almost every broadcast, but Honor of Kings is not just about kills. The way you get gold is going ahead and farming and taking that enemy jungle, those buffs here. OG is down 1 kill, but they're up almost. Heal as much as they can to get all these minions, make sure that they're all farming proficiently.
Engagement here, big pop-up lands as they're go ahead and catch that pop-up from the Overlord. Very low. Down now actually does get taken down by you. Overlord turns around, throws some damage onto the side of OG, but the rest of Alo Gaming disengaged, looking to put some damage on the Kiki, who is starting to put some pressure onto that mid lane.
Yeah, we're starting to see Alo Gaming kind of go back to early in the game, right? They're good at this death ball. They have the Ming, they have all this follow-up with the Dharma here. They want to force these 5-on-5 team fights. They don't want to split up and take these skirmishes. That's exactly what OG wants. So they're able to come in together as 4 and catch out Dao Dao. And it doesn't matter how tanky you are, how fed you are. If 4 people, 5 people are focus firing you down, you will go down.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up before too the different in the jungle. They're not doing as I say, to find a kill onto Alonso, who is down for the count, a double kill, and this might be a bad.
Looking good for side of Alo Gaming. They're easily going to be able to get that flash lane tier 2 now, and probably go ahead and push this momentum to take the enhanced Overlord as well too. All of these lanes are going to be pushing anytime now, and they're going to struggle to leave their base after losing a fight like that.
Yeah, not just, I mean, and this is the difference, especially when it comes to the late game. They won the fight, and look how far they've been able to push in these towers. For a game where Alo Gaming had much of the early game advantage, if you look at the map, you don't see that reflected in the towers, in the pressure on the map. So, I mean, a great job by them when they do have that advantage, and when they don't.
Absolutely. Here now they go ahead and take the Azure Golem as well. Here Dharma trying to go ahead and fend them off, but it's not easy. All these waves are pushing. Shadow Vanguard has arrived now too. We are coming up on potentially the final fight of the game here as OG mounts a push here on the high ground of Alo Gaming.
Yeah, they're looking for an answer. Unfortunately, what they need is a mistake by OG. And from what we've seen in these last few games, they play a very tight ship. They do catch 3 members in there, put on the damage, but it's not enough just yet. You can see there that Doxa tried to find somebody, not able to find it just yet. They're doing, and this is, I want to say, a great example of where a lot of fights can sometimes be lost, and that's on the pushing of those towers. A lot of people, they just go headlong into the towers, try to push inward down just yet. They just need to whittle it down.
They don't need to do anything crazy right now and risk the game. And you know what? That's not very characteristic of OG. OG is known for doing those crazy pushes, right? They're going ahead and ending those games early. But this shows a bit of an adaptation from OG's playstyle here. The respect that they give Alo here.
The pincer move there got caught out by Keke. And just nothing they can do. We're actually able to answer back and might actually find themselves another kill here as well. Oh, as I say that, Keke actually, not taken down there. You able to answer back. There's 2 unanswered kills by the side of Alo Gaming. But in the end, OG able to
easily been the end of the game there. But just as we were saying, OG's playing it slow. The Alo Gaming's taking full advantage of this fact here, looking like they're gonna maybe even play up to the high ground here as Keke and Wen are down for the count.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, putting the boots to the high ground from the side, looking for Dao Dao coming in for a pincer move. I think it was more or less to kind of shake the side of Alo Gaming, let them know he was there, that he had the ability to try to come in there, and that
the absolute aura over there of Dao. His team was down 2 members, 3v5, comes out versus 4 people alone, and they're like, hold on guys, let's go ahead and back up here.
Yeah, great aura moves there, by of which they're going to go ahead, try to find themselves an advantage. Down goes Doxa, and now they are on to chase. Halo Gaming trying to run for the hills, gets taken up. Conductor of Souls does find its mark. Roba is down, and the rest of Halo Gaming taken down. 3 members down, tying things up at 11.
It is a 4v2 here. They're going to look to push this bottom wave into a game end here. Dao is so strong on the Ogren. Sage's Sanctuary on him. Keke is going down in these fights, but the Ogren is really the anchor of the team. They have to take out the Ogren, and they are struggling right now as minions are into the base and they rush down the crystal.
Yeah, and that is going to be a clean sweep for OG Gaming. Not as pretty as the first game, but when you count in how effective they were still farming, how they were able to protect their jungle, even when they were taking deaths, I mean, it was pretty much...
In the jungle, Dharma gets caught out, and then they immediately go to these towers and kind of run away with the game. Even though they were down a few of those kills early game, they caught up, and for the largely most of the game, they were down kills and up gold.
Yeah, and you mentioned it when you were talking about it. In the first game, when they had the advantage, they were immediately enemy territory, taking buffs, taking jungle, making sure that they were refusing that, making those kills worth it. Unfortunately for Halo, Gaming taking full advantage. And this is just one of those games where kills just don't mean a lot if you are not getting in, if there's not an objective tied to it, if there is not a jungle creeper tied to it, if you're not hurting the enemy on their side when it comes to their economy.
Absolutely there, and yeah, we saw it in great fashion, dude. Probably like the largest gold lead we've seen out there on that Ogren, that late game carry. And also, as you mentioned a little bit in draft, they drafted a composition that they didn't really like building anti-heal, and against an Ogren, anti-heal is the bare minimum. So we saw him running an absolute muck in the mid game, 1v3, 1v4, really hard to take down. And even when they saw some signs of life where they can turn around and maybe push 5v3, the Ogren in the wall, they're coming in with that aura, scares them off, makes sure that they cannot get that high ground.
Yeah, just that's just amazing to me, especially that you're so fed that all you have to do is just kind of hands on hips as you come in there. It's like, all right guys, I think you've had enough, and they're all like, all right, we're just gonna go back to our base for a little bit. But yeah, just a massive showing there, very tight kept by this early game. They still kept it tight enough, clearing out their jungle, making sure that you're ahead to be successful when you have the lead the entire game, when you're getting those kills the entire game. It's another thing to have that offense being put onto you, but still stay focused and understand the keys that you need.
Behind is super important in a game like Honor King, because you will see swings, right? They were down all throughout the early game, but then they found an opportunity, a mistake Halo Gaming made, and they capitalized on that, and then they will be taking the first match win of the Kings Major West League here with a beautiful 2-0.
Yeah, a 2-0, and Halo Gaming gonna be stuck kind of licking their wounds here. So we take a look at...
Absolutely here. He was just an absolute raid boss, right? Being kind of amplified by that Ming did, whereas the side of OG, everyone kind of had their own roles, kept up a lot of these fights.
Well, and that was the problem with the Chano. He played it as well as he could with an Ogren on the opposite team, able to kind of find some of those pickoffs and be able to kind of get that momentum. But like I said, there just wasn't enough anti-heal. There just wasn't an answer. Ogren is just one of those, Ogren, just like May, is just one of those picks that you need. And as we can see here with the MVP, Dao getting that MVP here, 38% of the damage taken. But as we talked about, that pick, Ogren, there needs to be an answer. It's just not something you let the enemy have. There just needs to be a plan for it.
Absolutely, especially when it's picked so early into the draft there. You have ample time and heroes to go ahead and try to deal with it. They were not quite able to deal with it there. In the early game, they did put a lot of pressure on Keke, we mentioned, right? They sent 4 people up there, but all while that was happening, Dao was kind of subverting his early game. Ogren, you know, known for that strong bit of a free ride into the mid game as he invades, steals a little bit of boars here and there.
Yeah, and like from here on out is where just Dao was having the game of his life coming in here, able to really find his swing. And not just that, when we were talking about some of those early fights, as when a lot of those fights happened, their jungle was already cleared. There really wasn't anything Alo Gaming, unless they kind of like retimed when they went after OG Gaming. There was no jungle for them to clear. So it was just a great job by OG Nation that they had over Alo.
Yep, right at the end there, and that's a great point you mentioned. Every time they went down, I wouldn't say you never want to die, right? But if you're gonna die in game, make sure all your tasks are done, all your dots on your side of the map are cleared. So in opportune spots, they're forcing these fights, making, you know, so when they go down, OG's able to go ahead and take an Azure Golem here, Azure Golem there, and then that's how we saw that gold lead go ahead and, you know, kind of stretch. Even though there's 5 kills to 4 kills, when Alo Gaming gets a kill, they get like 200-300 gold. But when OG gets a kill, they get the kill, they get your Azure Golem, they get your 2 jungle here, they get to push a wave and take a tower, and 1 kill on OG kind of feels like it's worth like 1,000 gold compared to Alo Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, it just you knocked it right in the head. Is like you got your little checklist when you get taken out. You're like, all right, I cleared out my lane, I cleared out my jungle, I'm good. For them to take. But ladies and gentlemen, the fun and excitement is not over yet. We will catch you with another series right after this small break.
When you let fear decide your fate, you don't choose which path to take alive. In life, I'm finally letting go of everything that still holds me. I'm against all odds, but I won't give up, 'cause it's my time. Destiny is calling hard. Victory is on my side. The more we lose, the more we gain. The more that nothing stays the same in time. What you see is what you get sometimes. Sometimes. Gonna show the world tonight. The light that shines inside us. We're against the odds, but we won't give up, 'cause it's our time to shine. Standing in the spotlight, can no one back us down. Destiny is calling high and light. We're not afraid to fight for everything we love. Victory is on our side. Takiki takiki takitao. Takiki takiki takitao. Takiki takiki takitao. Takiki takiki takitao. Everything lost to hold. Destiny is calling high and light. We're not afraid to fight for everything we love. Victory is on. We're no strangers to the fallout. It's what got us here. Ever changing, some chameleon. Blood, sweat, and tears. We'll never make it if we fall to everything that brings us down. With a comeback is now. Blood, sweat, and tears. Fight for what we want. Doesn't matter the cost. Every day, put in work. Blood, sweat, I feel it deep, flowing through my blood. Rising up to become someone, and taking it all on my own. What a sweet victory. And taking all of my control, awaken something deep in me.
Like flames, feel it burning inside. Take a hold in pursuit of the prize. I've been told, ain't no way to survive, keeping all of this fire that's locked up inside. When this is the time, enter the ring. All those mental chemicals doing their thing. I got flashes of battles inside of my dreams. I was made for this moment. At least now it seems like it's time to come face to face with your fear. Been battling reasons for all of the years, and I learned how to fight them with style and grace no one's ever encountered. You say it's amazing, I'ma come out swinging when they open the gate. Go ahead, call passion, I'm calling it rage. I'm taking what's mine like I already own it. Watch but don't blink, going here to the moment.
The sky rained down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are, you are. Here's to the moment, the sky rained down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are, you are.
My name is honor, my name is king, my name is champion, my name is strength.
Tell them who you are.
My name is Pentakill, you think it's strange? My name keep ringing inside of your brain.
I hear it every night. Here's to the moment the sky rained down. Here's to the madness that's all around. So tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Here's to the moment the sky rained down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are, you are. Here's to the moment the sky rained down. Here's to the madness that's all around. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are. Go on, tell them who you are, you are, you are.
You've walked through the darkest nights. You've heard the crowd, felt the blinding light. You were standing there when your heart comes alive. It's a dream of a hat, and it never dies. Right here, right now, give it all, get it out. Never surrender. I fight and never fail. I am a contender. A challenge I can feel. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies. Relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies. Relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king. On my way, on my way. Find my way, find my way. On my way, on my way. Dream my way, dream my way. Never a surrender. I find it never fail. I'm a contender. And challenge I can feel. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies. Relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king. The smallest lies become the brightest enemies. Relentlessly. And even if you fall, you gave it everything to be a king.
Turn it back.
Gear out a weapon, getting ready, counting down. Pay attention to the challenge, tell me where you from. Gotta be tough, gotta be strong, gotta be soldier animal. Every time you tryna push me down.
Look at me, I'll
Put the line down when I run around, and I'll make a sign, I will catch up. Watch out, it's better feel, got no mercy.
look at me, I'll be rising.
Carry the season, you gotta damn, gonna weapon. You never hesitate for another moment, but my bone is golden.
I'm invincible, just let him know. I can show you all the glory I own. Through the jungle, find a way to the palace. I'm waiting. Go, never mind, can we go? It ain't a river, tiny bed. Storm is coming, light up your cold. It's my kingdom, fire blowing up.
We the kings, it's an honor showtime. Honor kings,
So guess we're gonna burn up.
honor kings.
On a killing spree, I told you all this. All my enemies, they go on silence. Wipe them out for only 6 seconds. We got honor.
You wanna get me juice, kind of the one who made the rules. You have night to choose, only one way, got night to lose.
I'm gonna show them, we got no crime. We barely fight this one, crashing pieces, you can cheat.
First blood, double trouble, then I take a pen, I kill. All you do is sweat and look at me still victory.
Say.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Kings Major West Day 1. We are going to be starting things off hot and heavy on the second series of the night.
We saw the first Italian team there, OG, with an amazing performance, 2-0 versus Alo Gaming here. Now in game 2, the second Italian representative here, Twisted Minds, going to be going up against Boars Gaming.
Yeah, and some big shoes to fill. Twisted Minds here, already the champions from the last Kings Major West, looking to kind of set that standard here against the Boars Gaming. Not just the winners here, but got 4th place in the KWC as well. So not too shabby. It's just a big powerhouse of a team. And unfortunately, Boars, they're going to have to sharpen their swords against a very veteran team here.
Absolutely. Twisted Minds here, amazing performances. One of the most consistent teams, I would say. You know, they perform relatively well in every tournament, and they always have a shot to go ahead and take it as well too. As we've seen, they took the last Major West League against OG Gaming, and then they had an amazing performance in KWC as well too. But I will say though, looking at the roster of Twisted Minds, these are not the same exact roster we've seen in KWC. They did switch around some players here. We're going to see in a bit here. And if that's going to do well for them or not, I'm not too sure, as these players have not been very proven on that roster yet.
Yeah, and that's kind of the double-edged sword of when you have a formula that is working for you and you have to change a few key components of it. Is this new formula that Twisted Minds going to be just as successful as their last, especially with a team against a team as hungry as Boars are?
Absolutely. Boar is a team that was not here in the last Major West League, but let's go ahead and talk about them a little bit more after Twisted's intro right now.
So you should never give up. greatest of them all. Yeah. Let's go. The battle's calling. You better give it all you got. You gotta fight for it.
Here's a look at Twisted Minds, the masterminds here, with Highlang front and center, as well as Clean and Shanks here in Clash and Marksman roles respectively. And then those are, you know, the roster that was on their KWC lineup, but now we have some new faces as well, with ACC on the roam position and Jue on the jungle.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how well this new lineup can stand. There's something to be said even about skill level that you can have in solos and on your team, but the synergy, that is a very important part that I feel like a lot of people don't account for when it comes to teams, is making sure that people understand. They know what the person to their left and their right is thinking. They know exactly how they need to address, how they need to help their teammate, and that's what we're going to see if Twisted Minds has been able to kind of patch up those holes, seeing as how they're working with a few members.
Absolutely here. And Twisted Minds, one of the teams that was very passionate and very hyped in KWC. I remember watching them. They'd always be hyped and passionate here before they got into the games. You see, they're very happy and excited and ready to get in the games now here too, versus their opponents, Boars Gaming.
Yeah.
So you should never give up. You gotta fight for it. Whoa, let's go. I know you want it. I see the fire in your eyes. You gotta fight for it. Let's go. The battle's calling. You better give it all you got. You gotta fight for it. The time is right for you to raise a bar. Yeah. Cause you could be the greatest of them all. Yeah. Let's go. The battle's calling. You better give it all you got. You gotta fight for it.
And their opponents, Boars Gaming, you can see in the Clash lane, 30-05, bringing up the jungle. We Ice from the mid lane. Red Cutie will be manning that. Farm lane going to be going to Mac, and their roamer is going to be Phasma. Any way you cut it, Boars Gaming has a lot on the line, and they are looking up a mountain at their opponents. You know that of any of the matches here tonight, they are going to be taking this seriously.
Absolutely, yeah. Boars versus Twisted Minds, kind of like the behemoth of the Major West League here, as they were the prior winners, and Boars kind of, you know, new here. They were not here in the last Major West League, so it's a little bit of an underdog story from them here. Speaking of underdogs here, we have some players on the side of Boars here. The mid lane here, Red Cutie, you know, has some experience in the Major West League. He's played last time, switched up some rosters here. Was on a different team last time, now is on Boars, so it's not their first rodeo. And I'm excited to see how they go ahead and do versus Twisted Minds here.
Yeah, you kind of have the new coupling versus the veterans, but even the veterans have a few new cogs in that machine. So it's I almost want to say that it's good. They're kind of like on an even playing field here. However, when we come to the overall team, when it comes to the management, when it comes to the play style, I want to say when it comes to Twisted Minds, we're going to see something similar to the amount of pressure right from the beginning that we saw from OGs.
Absolutely. Twisted Minds, very calm, calculated, collected team there, being led by Highlang, one of their star players here, known for his control of the map in the mid lane. He's able to play a lot of these utility mages and kind of show out on them, right? A lot of people play these utility mages and they just support their team, but he's actually able to go above and beyond and carry with them. As we get into draft here, Twisted Minds goes in and removes that Luna. They do not want to deal with that.
Yeah, right off the bat, they're going to go ahead and take off the amount of mobility and damage that you can get from that Luna pick. Boris is still looking for an answer. Going to answer with the Wuhan close off here, which is interesting to me because it says to me that we have the possibility of a Mai pickup here, especially with the Liang being taken off by Twisted Minds.
Yeah, I think this game here, they're using the drafting strategy. Hey, we're just gonna leave all the strong picks on the board here. We're second pick. We're not gonna ban any of these, you know, really high-powered picks here. You're gonna have to choose. Do you want the Arlie, the Dharma, the Mai? You're gonna have to pick one of them, and we're probably gonna get the other two.
It's something that we haven't really brought up or touched on too much, and just as you talked about, the Arlie quickly scooped up by Twisted Minds, but something that we haven't really touched on is the fact that you do get those 2 counter pickups as the second pickup, so you can kind of lay that drop out there. Yes, you were able to give them Arlie, but in answer to that, you pick up the Dharma and the Mai Shiranu.
Who I am.
Will Twisted Mind go with a tried and true counter to Dharma here, the Swansa? It's a great pickup against the Mai as well too, because they have a lot of melee crowd control here on the side of Boars Gaming, which will really be countered out by the Swansa here. But actually they have to play something a little bit more traditional, looks like. Hai Lang, known for his Yijing play, one of his signature picks in the last Major West, and he locks it up here before the enemies get a chance to go ahead and remove it away. And then Boars Gaming with like a star-studded lineup of S-tier picks here. Mai, Dharma, Long, everyone on the top of their tier list for their respective roles.
I almost want to say that, like, it feels like we're packing a lot into this first game already. Those huge pickups for the side of Board Gaming. They really, it's almost to the point where I'm just like, man, if you lose with this type of lineup, what else is left on the draft for you to pick out and throw out there? But I mean, it does look very well for them. I do like the drafting strategy. I like the fact that they allowed the Arlie to come out there, especially I feel like this was intended. There isn't anything in this draft that feels like Boars didn't want it, especially with that Wuhan taken off the board there, which kind of sets up a lot of some of these mobile picks, the Mai, the Lung out there.
Absolutely here. Very high-powered picks coming out here in this game 1. It's a best of 3, right? There's no reason to pull any punches. You just need to take 2 wins and then call it a day. As we see the Swansa getting picked up here, I would have really liked a Swansa ban because it does so much to break down their team. Now the Arlie is never really going to be vulnerable. The Yijing is never really going to be vulnerable. With that Roamer around there, able to cleanse and give them that shielding, they're not afraid of getting Truth Mantra. They're not afraid of getting comboed by Mai anymore. And that could be that. I would say that's a pivotal pick here on the side of Twisted.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point there too. And the only thing that I can see kind of maybe mixing this up for the side of Boar is if we're not concerned just with the CC, is if we can get to a point where the damage is enough to kind of surprise the side of Twisted Minds. But I want to say, like, in the early game, you really count on a lot of that CC, a lot of that movement around the board there. So we're gonna see how well that Zhuangzi pickup. I think that you hit the nail right on the head. That's going to be a pivotal pickup here for Twisted Minds.
Absolutely. I would say Boars Gaming has a little bit of an edge early game. They have that Liang Po, which is able to apply a lot more pressure than the Swansa, which early game kind of just, he's there, you know, he floats around, he shoots some butterflies, but he's not going to be able to, you know, cause the pressure and have that crowd control and be able to safely get the vision like the Liang Po. So the early game is going to be very important because once Twisted Minds is able to go ahead and farm up and get the Arlie online with the Swansa there to go ahead and ensure that it stays online, with that immunity there, it's going to be really tough inside of Board Gaming.
Yeah, I think you hit it right there. Is that for me, the longer this game goes on, the worse it gets for Board Gaming. In the early game, if we can kind of keep up that pressure, if we can get some of those kills, get those, especially the speed in which Maishiro now can cover up the map, that can go and help those side lanes, possibly find some of those ganks and get some of those surprises on the Twisted Mind. If we can get those kills, if we can start pushing our way into enemy jungle, we might just have a chance to kind of steamroll this before Twisted Minds is able to ever get off the ground.
Absolutely. And also another thing, Boars Gaming's composition is relatively low range. All they have is the Long on the range there. Everyone else is melee. And when you're playing 4 melee into Yijing, he's able to trap you with that board. Later on, he's going to get anti-heal burn slows on every single one of you guys. It's going to be really tough. So they need to go ahead and get ahead early game before they scale up. With a heavy melee composition like that onto the Swansa, versus the Yijing as well, it's really, really tough in the late game.
Yeah, and already a lot of pressure coming in. Well, I don't want to say pressure, but enough pressure coming from the side of Twisted Minds at the mid to kind of make sure that some of the early rotations can still be kept in the pocket of Twisted Minds, really kind of shut down what Red Cutie can do on this Mai in the early game, where, like we said, she's going to want to shine to kind of get that snowball rolling.
Absolutely, and we're seeing a lot of teams go ahead and supplement, Dharma's weaker early game by sending up the roam there, helping them out, 2v1ing the Charlotte, not allowing the Charlotte to really take priority in the lane there. As we see them once again, the Lianpo is just staying up here, not giving Clean any chance to take the 1v1s he wants to here, as Dharma and Liang go ahead and group up and take out this teleport sprite here.
Yeah, and that's kind of the difference for a lot of these games too, is it's not always about trying to find the opportunity for some of these ganks. It's more or less to kind of get that advantage, get that pressure in that lane, pushing towards your opponents. Here they're trying to keep those lanes kind of pushed towards Twisted Minds, keep them on their back foot for as long as possible. A little bit of an engagement here at the mid, and it does look like Jui is able to find an escape. Ooh, and actually just like that, Wise actually might be in trouble. Is able to use that bubble to get himself to safety.
He almost went down there. A lot of slows going on to them there. The Swans is skill 1, slowing him down. The Agudo slowing him down too. Barely gets away there with that shielding. But we're kind of starting to see what these team fights are going to start to look like. Twisted Minds has a bit more of an anchor there with the Agudo, able to lay everything down here and then kites and slows their opponent. Whereas Boars Gaming, they need to go ahead and everyone jump in together and end the fight quickly, as they have 4 divers.
Yeah, and I was kind of hoping that in the early game, a little bit of a back and forth here by 30-05 and Clean, but I was kind of hoping that we would get a little bit more rotations coming from Red Cutie while the Swansea is not at that point. You see Swansea here down at the bottom, so maybe get Mai up at the top, try to look for some of those engagements, but we're just not seeing it. And like I said, I want to say the stalling point, all of this just kind of favors Twisted Minds when we move into that mid, when we move into that late game.
Absolutely, yeah, they have so much scaling on their side here too, so they're doing a great job of, kind of like neutralizing the early game. They're making sure that their opponents are not really able to get ahead, making it 0-0. If this game drags on 0-0 into the 10-minute mark, into the 12-minute mark, they have the scaling advantage. They have the Yijing, they have the Arlie, right? And they have ways to go ahead and protect those 2 investments on their team as well.
Yeah, and right now kind of at a standstill. A little bit more pressure here up at the top, still trying to continue on. No real ways moving forward. Both of these guys are very careful. A lot of respect, I want to say, for both of these teams. Nobody really putting themselves into harm's way. As I say that, I do have a flash there expended by Halang, who's going to be able to get himself to safety. Little bits of a, I want to say, they dedicated a lot to try to get that, but the flash was already right there for Yixing.
I think Boars they're feeling the pressure, as we mentioned, they don't have that scaling factor, so they kind of feel like the pressure, they got to make some plays right now. They got to do something with these picks here and get ahead early game before it's a little bit too late. So you see them trying a little bit of over commitment there on Hai Lang. He's able to get the flash, but we see another commitment coming out here. Hai Lang with a beautiful 2-man, but it's not enough as he goes down now that he's flashless.
Oh, yeah, able to connect there with that dream roam into the back line. And as we see, even you can see 2 down for the side of Twisted Minds. Halang Shanks suffered the fury of the Boars, and does look like they're going to go ahead, turn their attention quickly to this Tyrant.
We saw Swanson get a multi-cleanse, but as you mentioned a little bit in the draft, it's there to cleanse crowd control. It doesn't make you invincible, right? It's not able to cleanse that damage. There's a tiny shield in the early game. It's mainly used just for that that cleanse factor. It gets the 3-man cleanse, but that's not able to go ahead and give them enough durability to actually survive.
Yeah, and that's why I was kind of hoping to see just a little bit more from Boars in the early game. Kind of continue on. We see a little bit of a push there. We do have the board out there. Does a trap the side of Boars. Not able to make anything happen. Just a 2v2 here, more or less, to kind of stave them away from the push they had under their tower. Meanwhile, I do believe I saw 30-05 in the Twisted Minds jungle there.
Yeah, 30-05 taking a bit of jungle here, trying to really dangerous actually, going for I think those wolves there, super deep into the enemy jungle, but he finds a great time to go ahead and do it while everyone was you know, kind of away doing something else. That's a little bit of art too, you know, like invades and these steals, you kind of have to find a time where no one's really looking at you, maneuver into the enemy jungle and take it and get out safely here, because you can easily go down and you pick the wrong time to go in there for sure.
Oh yeah, that's something that I pretty much make a name for myself when I'm in my games, is to go in there and get caught trying to take enemy jungle. He's able to smoothly find himself and escape there, and here still trying to mount that pressure, but I want to say doing a good job, just doing a great job. Both of these teams, Twisted Minds, they're not able to take any ground just yet, but they're not giving up any ground just yet. Gold very even by both sides, only 3 kills on the board.
Yeah, Twisted mainly just playing to kind of protect their own jungle and their side. You see Swanson, they're going in and gaining a little bit of vision, but I don't think they're really trying to take a full-on fight right here as they're all kind of injured. But Boars Gaming is not going to take no for an answer as they go ahead and push them away. No objective here, though, so it is an okay time to go ahead and back up and retreat. But Boars Gaming really keeping the pressure on and trying to close out this game early.
Oh, actually dove in a little deep there. Did 30-05, got lured in, boxed out, but the mid tower does go to the side of Boar Gaming. They lose one, they pick up a tower. We'll call that an even.
Yeah, they're pretty even there, but you're seeing in these plays here from Boars Game, they're a little bit desperate, right? They know they got to get things done right now here, and it's great that they understand that win condition here, but Twisted Minds, they're just turtling up. They're making sure, you know, they know they have the late game. We're good on that. Just everyone huddle together, protect ourselves here. All right, Dharma dives in, tries to look for a flashy play, and they take him out there in a 5v1, I think it was.
And to a point you brought up earlier during the draft, there is not a lot of range for Boars. If they want to make something happen, they actually have to get pretty close to the enemy to make something happen, and that's where a lot of mistakes can be made. And just like you saw there, that 30-05 got lured in on that Dharma, got taken out. And that's kind of the problem here with this early game, with them being so hungry for a kill to try to make something happen so that they're not just stalling until that mid and late game power spike from Twisted Minds. Here they're going to go ahead and have to find themselves a little bit of an escape. Those get boarded in, looking for an escape. Wise takes a little bit of damage. Reinforcements from the side coming on to Twisted Minds. Are they going to be able to find that escape? Wise goes down, picked off there by a Shake. They're continuing the assault, looking for an escape, and Clean comes in, finds himself a kill, while Zhui able to find his own as well.
Twisted Mind says, if you guys want to fight, we'll give it to you there. They noticed 2 people on the Boar side actually pushing that tower, so they take the opportunity to go ahead and engage in the jungle, and knowing they have a numbers advantage, and they were able to go ahead and, you know, kind of win and secure an advantage in that fight quick enough before they can respond. And Boars tries to respond, tries to clean up the fight, but not really able to make that happen. So it is a 1 for 3 in Twisted's favor.
I want to say it was a good read there by the side of Twisted Minds, because they noticed that the side of Boars was kind of split up. They found the box there, and even though they tried to come in for like a pincer move on the side, you were still dealing with a team that was kind of split up with with the chunky force up there toward the upper right-hand corner. Toward the left, you had a lot of squishy heroes that wanted to try to come and aid, but ended up getting taken down on the side as well. Was that stolen?
That was stolen there. Boars Gaming had complete control of the Tyrant, but just over the wall, Highlang throws a stone there and gets the critical kill feed. That is tragic there. That has to be soul crushing for Boars there. They just lost the fight, then they go ahead, regroup, take position on the objective just to get it stolen by Highlang there over the wall.
Yeah, and this is the position that they did not want to be in. We do have the board out on the field looking for an escape. It does look like Highlang able to find himself a kill. 30-05, running for the hills, very low, about 10% health, is able to find himself an escape. But on the back end here, we do have ourselves a little bit of a tremor there coming from Phasma is going to get caught up as well. That is 2 down for the side of Boars.
Destroyed a tower.
That was such an impressive fight from Twisted, because the whole time I'm watching, waiting for Swanza to go ahead and ultimate. They won that fight without Swanza's ultimate there, so they could have kept going. Like, these are the fights that Swanza is super, super strong, and when everyone's grouped up all around the Swanza, he's able to group cleanse and group shield everyone, and he had his finger on the trigger, ready to go ahead and cleanse there, but they didn't need it. They were able to take a 2 for 0 without even expending the ultimate there.
Yeah, and this is the position that you did not want to be against with Twisted Minds' composition here. Now that they've hit their power spikes, now that they're starting to get some kills on the board, you don't have the range that you thought. This tanky front line the tanky front line plus the CC that you held is now going to be kind of negated out, especially if you're kind of holding on to those abilities. We just saw ACC. He's not just going to use that cleanse all willy-nilly. He's waiting. He's patient with it. He's waiting for those big skills to come out from the side of Boar as well.
Absolutely. Here we see some of the itemization here. Highlang looks like he's building into like 3 different items, but once he goes ahead and gets his core build of the mask, the venomous staff, and the frost breath here, he's gonna be so much trouble to deal with, being able to box all the melees on the side of Boar's Gaming. Yi Jing is like a very strong pick against these melees, because you have to go in on him, and when you go in on him, you get trapped by the box.
Yeah, and that's the kind of problem here, especially because what you said, you wanted that CC on Yixing. You want to be able to kind of trap him, but even if you do get in there, there's so much ability for them to cleanse out a lot of this CC that you're basically just walking into a trap here. I mean, the range here, you can see it's just being exuded here by Twisted Minds. There is not a way for Boars to kind of find their way in to this line. You can't just try to run forward and try to take that front line because just of the power of the board coming from Yixing. Halang doing such a great job with his positioning. They're going to look to try to find themselves an opening here. If they can find an advantage to maybe steal it back, and not able to. Twisted Minds still able to find themselves an overlord. We do have a board down on the battlefield, and down goes Weiss. Now chasing after the rest of Boars, running for the hills, have to get back to the safety of their high ground towers, but the assault continues from Twisted Minds. You can see into the back line. Ooh, actually, Clean dove a little deep into the enemy territory, still able to get himself out of there, and it does look like Twisted Minds find themselves a high ground tower.
They are looking to end this game here. It's 5 versus 3 here, and the members of Boars Gaming is not the best when it comes to wave clearing. They're all melees, but here we go. Big combo comes out. Everyone's really low. Can the Yanko 4-man knocked up here? Can they go ahead and turn this fight and hold? It looks like they just about can't. Monkey is here in a 1v5 situation, and this looks to be game set here for Twisted Minds. No, they have no minions. Okay, here we go.
That will be game 1 going to Twisted Minds. I like the last ditch effort coming out from Boars there. They tried everything. They got them fairly low. It just wasn't enough at that point. They already had the steamroll coming for them. So, I mean, a great game by Twisted Minds there. Very patiently stalking on the board, trying not to make too many mistakes. And once they had that power spike, once they had the opportunity, it was a full steam ahead.
Absolutely. I just gotta say, in that final push there, their juggling of the aggro was perfect. Everyone fought until they had 1 HP, backed up, then sent the other people back in, got these shields, started baiting. They didn't lose anyone the entire push, which is crazy. We see Mai, Liang Po hit some amazing combinations, but they're able to just barely stay alive, dip in and out of the fights there, and because of that, they're able to take out the side of Boars Gaming and take that win.
And that kind of comes down to what we were talking about early, which is a synergy. We were questioning some new players on the team of Twisted Minds, but the synergy of the confidence to be able to dive into enemy towers. And no, you know what? I don't need to worry about it because my team, they're going to come in, they're going to get the aggro, they're going to create that escape for me to be able to get out when the whole team dives under the tower. They understand, oh, I have aggro, I can just step out, somebody else is going to take it, we're going to go back in. And just a well-oiled machine that Twisted Minds showed themselves in that first game.
Absolutely, that was a very Twisted Mind style game. They're known for having that control in the mid game here, and once they got that control here, they didn't let Boars kind of go anywhere, right? They had the Yixing board, they're able to get objectives. Boars Gaming tried to steal it over the wall. They're like, nah, okay, we will not allow that transgression. Set up that board, push them all the way into their base, take their high ground, and end the game off of that.
Yeah, and just amazing when it comes to kind of the draft too. It looked right from the beginning very strong for the side of Boars, but you called it too, like that Schwangsa, a pivotal role for it. There's just nothing that they could do, adding to the fact that they just didn't have the range to really be able to test anything. They were running around the entire time just really looking for an opportunity. They were looking for a mistake from Twisted Mind, and unfortunately Twisted Mind did not show that to Boars.
Absolutely. While in draft, you got to go ahead and try and develop your game plan, right? And build and pick these heroes you know are strong, the Mai, the Dharma, the Long. You also have to go ahead and think, what could the enemy pick here to checkmate my composition? And I think the Swanza there was a really good pick for that. And them not really, you know, either respecting that pick or noticing it was a part of their downfall there, as the Swans had amazing impact that game. 0-0-13 KDA there on the Swans there. A beautiful roam KDA basically ensured that all the carries on the side of Twisted Minds, once they got into mid to late game, were basically untouchable. It negated the Dharma pick, it negated the Mai pick, it negated the Liang Po pick. That one pick just did so much work.
Yeah, and on another front there too, when you could see the difference between the team fighting, there was just they understood that they needed to stick together, did Twisted Minds. The lowest team fighting participation there was 84%, whereas on the side, even though I want to say Boars were trying to be more offensive, they were trying to be that death ball to go forward, you saw 33%, 66% kill participation. Just, I feel like Twisted Minds understood safety in numbers when it came to especially that early game, to kind of offset a lot of the offense that would have come out from Boars. Very safe game up until they had the power spikes, until they had those items that they needed, and then just full speed ahead.
Absolutely. I would say Boars Gaming's composition, you don't want to take them in that death ball fight, right? You're giving Swanza the 5-man shield, the 5-man cleanse. Don't give them their win condition. That's their win condition, right? You want to go ahead and split them up, force them to choose, okay, who do I want to protect? Do I want to protect the Arlie? Do I want to protect the Yi Jing, right? When you do fight them in these head-on kind of brute force situations, they have the composition for that. Whereas I would like to see them use the Mai, use the Dharma, split push here, put one here, put one there, and kind of split up Twisted Mind. Don't let them, you know, fight with that unit that they're so good at, that their style is.
Yeah, so I want to say this was the only good offense that kind of came out from the side of Boars. A really early game, even with the cleanse, able to kind of output that damage to really put Twisted Minds on their heels. Unfortunately, after that, it was all Twisted Minds here. As you can see them really turning the tables with a lot of these fights.
Yeah, we're seeing here, once Twisted Mind groups up, they're 5-man right here grouped up. It's really hard for Boars to break through. They have a composition to 5v5 here, right? Agudo lays down the healing and the damage there. Schwanza keeps everyone alive with that cleanse here, and they're playing their game. Boars is trying to fight them 5v5 instead of maybe sending someone in the bot lane. They're looking at bot lane. We see a minion up to Twisted Mind's tower. That could have easily been a nice trade, right? You give your top tier 2, you send one person down there to go ahead and claim it back, but instead they opt to play into the enemies there and try to beat them at their own game, and it's really not easy to beat Twisted Minds at their own game.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing here is when you kind of split off and try to get some of those split pushing ability on there, the rest of your team needs to be very wary of some of those fights, because what you end up doing is now you have 1 or 2 people off trying to push on the map, and you've got this little ball of 3, maybe 2 people there, and that death ball of Twisted Mind roaming and pushing through the jungle. And as soon as they were caught, it was pretty much all. You saw the Boars very late trying to kind of come back to try to aid their teammates, and just to no avail.
Absolutely there. Yeah, I know that feeling all too well as the residential split pusher here. I push my lane on the side here. My team's like, let's fight 4v5, guys, all right? And that's very, very dangerous for sure here. But enough about my solo queue shenanigans. Let's go over to a break here before we go into game 2.
strangers to the fallout. It's what got us here. Ever changing, some chameleon. Blood, sweat, and tears. We'll never make it if we fall to everything that brings us down. With a comeback is now. Blood, sweat, and tears. Fight for what we want. Doesn't matter the cost. Every day, put in work. Blood, sweat, and tears. Nothing comes overnight. Strength in numbers start to line. We don't bow to fear. Blood, sweat, and tears. Blood, sweat, and tears. Fight for what we want. Doesn't matter the cost. Every day, put in work. Blood, sweat, and tears. Nothing comes overnight. Strength in numbers start to lie. We don't bow to fear. Blood, sweat, and tears.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second series of day one here at the King's Master West. We just saw a match between Boars and Twisted Minds, and Twisted Minds playing the patient game until that mid game, I want to say steamroll coming out. Will Boars have something in mind here for that second draft?
Absolutely. And as you mentioned prior, they used a lot of powerful picks here. We're saying, what happens if they lose with all these powerful picks? Well, we're about to find out. They use all these picks like the Mai, like the Dharma, like the Long here, and then they ended up losing here. So game two, they expended a lot of powerful stuff. So either they need to go ahead and ban it back away from the side of Twisted or let it go. Both are not very good options.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part here. Those words really kind of came back to bite me there. Where do you go? Those were some very strong picks. I mean, they're not uncounterable. Arlie and Dharma can kind of be switched up when it comes to counters. Wuhan and me are big counters, or I want to say Wuhan is a big counter for me. I don't really think she counters Wuhan at all. But so there are counters out there for them to pick if you kind of want to bait out those picks. But I mean, it's still enough on the floor. There's just certain little aspects, certain little boxes that you need to check when it comes to this composition. And they're just, I want to say, two major factors that you had mentioned from the first draft that really kind of were the issue. The Zhuangzi pickup from the side of Twisted Minds and the lack of range in their composition. If that would have been handled, I feel like this could have been a completely different game, especially with them so hungry for some type of engagement, some type of kill, basically chasing Twisted Minds throughout the entire jungle. If the factors would have kind of been changed, I feel like this could have been a much different game. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and it's just something that you live and learn with when you're kind of coming up with these compositions, coming up with these bands, and coming up with these picks.
Absolutely. Here, as we get into draft there, Yuan again does not get to see play here, as it's a priority banned by Boars Gaming here. I would say if I was Boars here, I'm against an opponent like Twisted. They're so structured, they have so much experience in the game, right? I don't think you want to play them with something fairly traditional, right? They have so much experience, so much practice, so much time against that. Maybe this is the time to bust out something new, a strategy that, you know, is not very proven yet, but could throw Twisted off. Because that last game, it felt like Twisted played it by the book, and it was just another day in the office for them, right? We're gonna play through and chill out in the early game, scale up, and then we're gonna win the late game. Maybe pick out a composition that Twisted Minds does not really have the formula for.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about things that you don't see too often, Ukyo Tachibana is something that we don't really see very often, but and a Byron pickup there to go against the pay pickup from Twisted Minds. The only problem that kind of comes from reaching outside the box is that the box is there for a reason. You know what I mean? The meta is the meta for a reason, and there are reasons, not to say, I mean, there are some players that are just really great on certain heroes that they can just really kind of like offset a lot of the weaknesses that some people see on it. For a team like Twisted Minds, is that the time that you want to experiment?
I think against Twisted Minds, it's really tough to play traditional, you know, because they're so good at playing traditionally. That's why I recommended that, though. Also, I'm a big proponent of letting players cook, right? And we got some cooking here coming out from Boar here. They have the Byron pickup and the Yukio to go ahead and try to match that Pei's early game. Now, Yukio, everyone says, is a counter to Pei. Now, I wouldn't disagree, but I do say, though, it's not easy to counter Pei, okay? Like, it can maybe go even against Pei, but then, you know, you have the downsides of being a Yukio. Will Boars Gaming go ahead and show me and show the world that Yukio is the counter? We're not too sure here, but a pretty solid traditional lineup here for Boars Gaming. Outside of Yukio, they have the Byron, they have the Lady Jen.
It's very interesting that you bring this up, because we talked about this a little bit offline, and I think the end line about it is who is landing their skills. You need to be able to land those stuns from Ukyo to be able to kind of shut down the Pei, because then you have that guaranteed damage that comes out, and Pei is actually pretty squishy when you kind of come down to it. But if you're able, if Pei is allowed to kind of get that mobility that he's known for, with a lot of those the leaps that he's able to do to kind of get around the map, to get around your team, it might be better on paper than it is sometimes on the battlefield.
Absolutely there. And Yukio is one of those picks that is very like momentum based, is very snowbally. If you do not get ahead on Yukio, all you really, you're an assassin. All you really provide is damage. You have a little bit of crowd control, but if you're ever behind, you jump in there and you land that stun, and then you're gone. You know, you get deleted here. And that's why, as you mentioned there, it's very important to who gets to jump on the other person. Both Pei and Yukio both have enough damage in their kits to take each other out. It's a matter of who gets to jump on the other person, who gets the ambush off here. And that's what we're going to be seeing here in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how these teams kind of go at it. We do see that the little Motzi taken off the board there by Twisted Minds. Oh, we do have a Ming pickup by Boars. I want to say, as far as this composition goes, it's basic. I always say we got some front line, we got some CC, we've got a decent amount of damage from it, but it doesn't shine the way Twisted Minds does when it comes to setting up potential. And as I say that, adding Guan Yu to this just adds a little bit more CC to this composition that is, I feel, is going to be very dangerous for Boar.
Absolutely here. When I look at this composition from Twisted Minds here, if I was a Yukio player, I would be crying right now because that's a very tough composition to go ahead and play against. Your one real targets here are, you know, the Pei and the Direnji, right? But later on, you want to be taking out the enemy marksman. You're against Direnji. He's able to cleanse your stun, which enables your whole combo, right? And then Direnji is able to retaliate and go ahead and stun you back up. You're against the Shi, so you got to really watch your footing. She's able to pull you from super far away. And then if you play too far away, Guan Yu is going to flank you and push you around here. This is a game that, while the Yukio we mentioned here is good against the Pei, there's 4 other characters that he's actually bad against on the side of Twisted Minds now.
Yeah, and the thing too is Shea actually needs to get a little bit closer than I'm sometimes super comfortable in the mid lane with, but with Zhang Fei on your team, you really kind of negate that. You've got a lot of peel for her, so that if they do kind of try to latch onto her, you have the unbridled outburst to go ahead and get the stun, and after that, it's pretty much just, it's CC City, because you're going to be able, you're going to have the Zhang Fei to deal with, you're going to have the Guan Yu to deal with, who's going to be able to kind of get that positioning, push you more towards them. It's going to be very interesting. You're going to have to play a very precise game if you're Boars to be successful here.
Absolutely. And another strategy that's incorporated in Boar's composition there is that Ming and Lady Sun. This is another one of those funnel compositions we're talking about. They want to funnel resources into that Lady Sun, have the Ming walk around with it. If they are able to get ahead early game and funnel resources into Lady Sun, and then Yukio is able to match or maybe get a little bit ahead of the Pei, it's very dangerous for side Twisted Minds, right? They have the Lady Sun and the Ming and the Yukio all roaming through the side of Twisted Minds in the jungle there. But again, all the things I mentioned there were fairly conditional on them being ahead. They picked the composition that's pretty good if you can get ahead, but that's a little bit of win more, right? It's not easy to get ahead. We've noticed here so far.
Yeah, especially against a team like Twisted Minds, who understand compositions. They understand where their weaknesses can be in certain compositions, so they're going to play back if they're weak. They understand where their power spikes are, when they need to attack. And that's something that Boars need to understand here as we go into this second game. It's game point for Twisted Minds. Boars looking for an opportunity.
And Twisted Mind starts off with immediate invade here, and it looks like Boars is going to go ahead and trade Azure Golem for Azure Golem as both sides go and invade each other's buffs there. But it looks like Boars is staying for a little bit extra, goes for these wolves and the lizard as well, and it's just a madness right here. We see Guan Yu's looking at it happen, but there's 3 people. He's like, what do I do, guys? There's 3 people in my jungle here. They're like, don't worry, sit back, relax. We're doing the same thing to their jungle here. So a bit of a handshake coming out from both sides there, and that makes sense because we mentioned the Yukio and the Pei are pretty evenly matched in the early game there.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too, is the invade. You want to make sure that you're kind of keeping on this pressure for those type of jungler heroes. We talked about how quickly that they can move through the jungle, so you want to kind of establish early in the game that, hey, just so you know, we can get into your jungle. We can go ahead, we can get that surprise onto you, so that nothing is going to be for free here. We do see a little bit of pressure here up at the top.
Yeah, very high tempo game. Both teams moving around a lot here, clearing each other's jungles, using that teleport to go ahead and maneuver around the map as well. We already see the Lady Sun getting funneled a good amount here. Lady Sun got a lot of that jungle that they stole there, and then the Ming is going to be with them here. Flash coming out from 3005 there. Doesn't want to get cheesed by the Guan Yu. Guan Yu's known for repeatedly pushing you under the tower there, and he didn't even want to try it, right? He's full HP, but I'm not even giving you the chance here as he goes ahead and flashes away.
Yeah, he's a smarter man than me in mid lane, because I get caught by that first one and I'm just walking into towers like, oh man. So, I mean, and that's already, I mean, that is an early spell already expended by the side of Boar. That's something that they're not going to have left, and they're already still continuing their prowess, continuing that little get into enemy territory.
Yeah, we mentioned both of these are fairly explosive compositions, but we're actually seeing very little combat. They're choosing to kind of avoid each other in here, and then, you know, taking each other's jungles there. We saw there, they just backed up and got away. Right now, we see Yukio going ahead and securing his red side, so Pei is going to secure his own red side. Surprisingly, not that much combat.
Yeah, but are we looking at the same thing that we saw from game one, where Twisted Minds is basically just biding their time until they can get all of their ultimates? Ooh, a little bit of cavalry here. Gonna go ahead and put the push onto 30-05. No worse for wear as Wise comes in for a little bit of backup. But the longer that we continue here without getting something on from the side of Boars, I feel like the better it favors Twisted Minds into that mid and late game.
I think while that is the case here, the compositions are not the same as game one either. Twisted Minds, they're not as clear of a victor in the late game as they were there in game one. Boars here, they have the Lady Sun late game. Yukio, while doesn't scale that well, probably does eventually scale better than something like the Pei once he gets 5 items. He's a Siege Breaker user as well, right? He has a very rich build here. He can go ahead and make some things happen here. So Boars Gaming, while they probably want to do stuff early game and go ahead and neutralize the Pei, I think their late game, they have a much better shot than game one.
Ooh, ACC in trouble, uses that unbridled outburst just a little bit defensively, catches himself a pop-up, has 4 members on his heels, and he gets picked off there by Mac on that Lady Soon. They do go ahead, and I feel like, they've seen it from the background. You see the cavalry coming in for the side of Twisted Mind. Big push there for the side of Twisted Mind's gonna go ahead and find themselves 2 unanswered kills in the face of the Boars.
And that's what I was talking about right there with the Yukio. He's playing against the show. One wrong misstep you saw, right? And then Highland goes ahead and reels him in and fishes him into his team there. And when you're a character like Yukio, which is extremely squishy, you cannot afford to get caught by any crowd control. But there's just so much on the side of Twisted.
Oh man, it was an interesting read there. Oh man, they're actually on the enemy side, the bad side. Mac actually may be in trouble there. Gets taken down. Wise finds a pop up there for the rest of the team and is able to find an escape. The problem is they were able to find themselves a great kill there. Was Boars, but not able to capitalize on it and make anything else happen on it. Meanwhile, here Twisted Minds find a kill and they're already pressing into the towers.
Absolutely. Boards getting a little bit ahead of themselves there. Everyone's up on the side of Twisted. They kind of just try to secure stuff in the face of Twisted Minds, which again is not easy. This shove pick is going to be really pivotal to this game. Being able to just pull anyone here, and there's no one really tanky enough that can survive getting reeled in by the side of Twisted Minds.
I want to say, man, clean. I was actually surprised because I'm like, why are we not going onto the Tyrant? Meanwhile, clean all the way across the map. It gets behind the entire Boar team, comes in with that cavalry and able to push them into a fight that they just were not prepared for. 3-1, not exactly a high kill game just yet, but I feel like Twisted Minds just starting to eke a little bit ahead. They do find themselves a tower. Ooh, might be a little bit split up. Comes in there on that Guan Yu, does find threats out a unbridled outburst, but it's not going to be enough. They do find a kill onto Waze. 4-1 in favor of Twisted Minds.
Once again, that Yukio, once you get caught by one crowd control, you're gone. He was not even able to move there. He got pushed once by the Guan Yu, chain CC'd into everyone else, and then immediately goes down. It's such a fragile pick, right? Everyone says it counters the Pei, but if you really do not get ahead early game off of that, like, it's so fragile.
It's that old adage of like, it counters the Pei, but now you have an Ukyo on your team who is countered
absolutely.
by so now which is countered by basically everything else that is out on the map. Speaking of which, we do have a fight here. Gonna go in there. Wise in trouble. Is gonna have to use that little bit of a flip to get himself out of harm's way. Meanwhile, Twisted Mind's gonna go ahead, clean out the jungle of Boars.
Yeah, we're seeing Twisted Minds starting to kind of get that control we're talking about, right? They're never really known for their early game, even with the Pei. But once we get into the mid game, they kind of understand the map. They're starting to see the bigger picture, right? And they know where to kind of move around here. Look at Hai Lang there on the Shi on the map here, just waiting to get catches for his team there. Shi, one of Hai Lang's signature picks, right? He's known for these utility mages and getting his team ahead, and he has participated in every single kill on his team.
Yeah, the gold lead starting to spread to about 3K for the side of Twisted Minds at the 8-minute mark. And Unfortunate for Boars, they have just not been able to put a scratch on the macro side of Twisted Minds. No towers down, barely any threats there. We do have a minion, a lone all-star minion there at the bottom lane that is pressing onto the tower for Boars. Give that minion a bit of a raise while the rest of Boars just trying to find an opportunity. And this kind of feels like some small shades of game one here. They just are not able to find some of those ganks, not able to find those opportunities. Just the crispness of Twisted Minds and their playstyle.
Absolutely. Boars seems to be playing relatively reactively here. They're trying to play catch-up, right? They see Twisted Minds here on the bottom tower. They're all a little bit late here, too little too late. Everyone comes down here. And instead of playing proactively to try and get ahead of things, if you're playing reactive, it's really hard. The tower goes down in 1 or 2 seconds, right? So if you're not there immediately, which they were not, it just goes down for free.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, is when you're playing reactionary, instead of instilling your own game, your own strategy on there, you're constantly reacting. Oh, actually, I'm not sure what the plan here was. Against 3 members, tries to get over the ledge there, misses it, and is caught on the wrong side of a rock, and 3 members from Twisted Minds, and that is Wise down on the ground.
I didn't even notice Yukio was there, neither did Twisted, but he kind of just jumped out, and then they're like, oh, okay, you're in our jungle, man. Like, 3v1 takes them out there. A bit of a desperate play we see coming out from Boars Gaming here. They understand that they're behind. They're trying to do some, a little bit weird stuff here to try and get ahead. Did not quite work out. We see towers going down for the side of Boars Gaming here. I would say that was a proactive play, not the proactive play they probably needed there. But it was proactive there.
You're absolutely right. That was something I was just going to bring up. I'm like, would you rather him out there in the jungle trying to do something, trying to get behind them, or slowly being choked out in his zone and turtling in his base? I mean, it's something he tried. They smelt it right away, and that's just a calling to Twisted Minds and their map presence and their understanding of where to check to make sure that they're covering all the bases, that they're not having somebody sneaking behind them and covering up their jungle. So, I mean, they're trying. Unfortunately, yeah, just like you said, it's not the play they needed, and unfortunately, it just continues this steamroll that is happening with Twisted Minds. Speaking of which, we do have the cavalry from the back end there. Clean comes in. A little bit of a scare there from Boars as he pushes. It gets in between 4 members back there. Unfortunately, Twisted Minds just not in a position really to go ahead and take advantage of that.
We're seeing Boars here kind of churling in the base, like we were mentioning a bit before, but that allows Twisted to go ahead and deal, the Honor King death sentence, right? They're able to take both objectives at the same time. When you are churling in your base, this is one of the best ways to counter it, guys, right? Even for your games at home. If you see the enemy team just wave clearing, sitting in their base, you can go ahead and take both objectives here at once, which is exactly what they did. They have both the Tyrant and Overlord now, and when that happens, the game is bounced around you only having one of them, So if you get 2 of them, it is really going to be tough to hold for the side of Boar Gaming.
Yeah, and with all of this crashing at the base right now, as you said, Boars right now stuck being reactionary. Not enough that they can do to try to find some type of offense. You're basically waiting once again for Twisted Minds to make a mistake. However, they have shown how tight they are, how great their rotations are, how small this little death ball is, that they kind of stick together to try to be safe. That even if Boar do find something, you're going to have the rest of Twisted Minds with some great abilities to be able to offset this.
Here's a look at it. They play really safe and they turtle up, but oh my god, Guan Yu pushing 3 people out. He's not letting you play safe.
Yeah, and he catches 3 of them, but suffers for it, though. Does go down. 2 members down for Twisted Minds. This actually might be the mistake that I was talking about. A little over-eager there, Boar. Have all of their members out there. This might be when you want to kind of get that momentum going for you. But very quickly, very wisely, Twisted Minds, they back up and they clear out the Boar jungle on their way out.
While they didn't get what they wanted, which is probably the win there, they do take a high ground, and that is permanent there. Look at that. 1 catch on the Yukio with the Shi there. Loses about 80% of his health there. That's why it's so difficult to navigate this game here as Wes on the Yukio. It's just there's so many things to watch out for. You get hit by 1 pull from Sha, you get taken out. You get pushed in, you get taken out. you get ulted by Shanks, you get taken out. It's too dangerous of an environment right now.
Yeah, everywhere you go, there's the opportunity of getting hit by 2 of 3 or 4 different types of CC that they have on
And
the
you're
side
gone.
of
And you're
Twisted
gone,
Minds.
you know?
Yeah, and then it's over. It's like, and you already saw a lot of those spells kind of already expended. The flicker came out there earlier from Boar. As soon as Shay kind of laid down those abilities, they were like, all right, we don't want any of this. So they had to back up, and just like that, even with the advantage that they had, they took down 2 from Twisted Minds, but just not able to find the momentum to kind of turn this around.
And then Twisted Minds here playing super methodical. They know they have the map control. They know they have all the minions pushing. They're playing slow. We don't have to do anything right now, right, guys? Objectives are coming up in 20 seconds. If they want to hide in their base and wave clear, we'll hit them with another set of double objectives, you know? And there's only so many of those you can take. Each round of pushes can yield a win. It can yield a tower, as we've seen there in the bottom here. Now we see Yukio on the map here, bottom, so they know no one is going to contest them for these objectives once again as they take the Shadow Tyrant.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead, mark up here, get in a good position to kind of offset. They want a fight here. They don't even want the Tyrant. And as I say that, 30-05 gets cleaned out from the back end. Big cavalry push coming from Clean. Finds the 2 members. There are 3 down for the side of Boars that make that 4. And that is a complete team wipe for Twisted Minds. And most likely, that will be the game.
That is going to be the game there. That usually Guan Yu goes tank here, but I'm pretty sure Clean has a few damage items hidden in that horse there, because he just absolutely one-shotted Red Cutie. He wasn't expecting a horse to come from his base. Not many people do. Gets up behind him, one-shots the mid laner there, and then from there, the complete formation of the side of Boars Gaming was broken there. They lost all their damage, they lost their front lines, and their spirits look like they're a little bit down right now as they get 2-0'd by Twisted Minds.
Oh yeah, and that's unfortunate when it comes to the composition. You were talking about it. We kind of saw this coming from the draft there. Ukyo a pick up there to try to counter the pay, and then there's just this immense amount of CC coming from Twisted Minds, and it just felt like there just was no room for Ukyo to do anything. As soon as he gets caught, I mean, you have the cavalry coming in, you have the unbridled outburst coming out from Twisted Minds, and then that's if the Shed doesn't want to get involved there too as well. And he was just constantly being shut down. Even then, I want to say there wasn't even a lot that I saw coming from Pei. He wasn't like on this killing spree from the match. It was the rest of the team really kind of once they were able to shut down Ukyo, it pretty much, there just wasn't the rest of the game plan. It just started crumbling out around them.
Yeah, they picked the Yukio to go ahead and neutralize the Pei, so he was not able to have the game of his life there. But it's all right, because then everyone else counters the Yukio, and we saw that while the Pei didn't really superstar carry the game there, everyone else had a great time against that Yukio there. And we're seeing, you know, Twitter's one character like the Yukio versus the Pei, they're able to take that shot, able to take all these picks, the D-Renji, right? So that they're giving the side of Boars really, really tough games here, and all their picks synergize together really well as well.
No, yeah, the 406 here. I mean, it didn't start off in the beginning, but I want to say, especially when it came to that last fight, Clean being able to get behind Boars, get a lot of those cavalry pushes, and then the rest of the damage that came out the team, it really allowed Shu to be able to kind of come in on that Pei and get a lot of those kills and those assists. Yeah, I mean, just a well-played game coming out from Twisted Minds.
And I'm looking at the items here. I thought Clean had some damage items. No, he's just so ahead on the Guan Yu that with a full tank build, he's just able to one-shot the Lady Gen we saw already there. So it just shows how ahead Twisted was. He's up about 3,000 gold on the Lady Gen here. One thing that we didn't really mention is the Zhang Fei actually took Smite too. So that probably helped Twisted Minds' kind of tempo early game. That's probably why we didn't see them go for many of those fights, because they know they have 2 Smites. They're gonna go ahead and out-farm the Yukio there, which we've seen him actually go ahead and do. And while the Pei was not the flashiest, right? He was 406, you know, pretty good stat line. He had 100% team fighting. He was there for every single fight for their team there, and he made sure that they went ahead and won the game there.
Yeah, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about. Ukyo, on paper, is the counter for pay, but is it? Is it? When
He's
you
the
when you
counter
kind of
for
come
pay,
down.
but then everyone is the counter for him, you know? So it's like he gets the one for one pay there, but then everyone else has a great matchup there. Hey, I'm not a Yukio hater, by the way. I love playing Yukio and then missing all my combos in my own ranked games. All right, but he is power level wise a little bit weaker right now, right? You're picking a C, maybe B tier pick to try